Hey everyone, we're in episode 16 of Ask Yourself, when should you accept a job offer?
Ask Yourself is a learning discussion where we seek questions to be more intentional of how we understand ourselves.
Hi, I'm Nina Guno.
And I'm Elisha Corpus.
We are two friends who are trying to make sense of ourselves and the world together. So in this episode, again, it's when should you accept a job offer? It comes right after us talking about job interviews. So the natural next step is that you ace the interviews and now job offers are coming in.
Yep, very optimistic.
Yes. But the thing is, something that's also been talked about a lot is salary negotiations. Like it's kind of been a hot topic on social media recently, I think. And I think it is valid that we'd be concerned about this. I mean, we're a generation which has a much higher cost of living compared to our parents, and we don't know when we'll ever be really financially independent as our parents were. So, yeah, this topic of salaries comes up a lot.
And I think even in general, just being able to look at a job offer and think about how do you evaluate it, it's something we don't talk about a lot because for the most part, we are worried more about getting the job. And then once we get the offer, it's like, okay, what do I do now? And how do I think through this process? So that is something we would like to talk about today and just offer up some questions that maybe we can all reflect on to be ready for going through those offers.
That's so true. Yeah, so we never really talk about that. We got, like in college, we got a lot of training about resumes and interviews, but negotiating a job offer, nothing at all. So, something that I eventually learned when I got into the labor market was that job offers are a lot more than the salary, actually, even if that's the main thing we look at. So, today we'll also be talking about what really is part of a job offer package, what is in that salary package that you should be looking at. What else should we focus on? I guess salary negotiation tips, right? And overall considerations when you're accepting a job.
Yep. I think we also would like to dig into some strategies, not just to get the job offer or to accept the best offer, but also to make it the offer that is true to you. We talk about authenticity a lot here, and I think a really good way to go about evaluating your job offer is to also think of what is true to me and who I want to be. And not just really looking at how much is it or what are the different work arrangements they offer. So I think beyond that, any kind of job offer is also an opportunity for us to get closer to the kind of person we see ourselves as being in the future.
That's so true. And I think, like, inevitably, while you're thinking about a job offer, you're also going to think about how much you're worth and what you really value. So, yeah, we're going to talk about those things besides the strategies to get that job offer you really want. Yeah, so as always, we have questions to help you reflect on your decision. Again, questions that would help you think about what's really important to you or your own priorities and stay true to yourself. Hey, so do you want to mention the first question, Elijah?
Okay, so our first question that we can think about is what is important in a job offer? What matters most to me?
What is important in a job offer? What matters most to me? So this is really about your non-negotiables when it comes to a job offer. Again, negotiation means that there's a give and take, but you have to set like your boundaries and what you're not willing to give up, right? So when you get that job offer, when you get that email from HR telling you that you got the job and here is our package, Elijah, what should we be looking at? What are the items that you should be really like paying attention to?
Yeah, so with this question, we included it because it's a call out that there's more to a job offer than just your salary. Like, yes, the salary is like one of the most important things that you have to worry about, but at the same time, it's not the only thing you can play with. Like, if you think about a negotiation with different conditions, the salary is just one of those conditions. There are many other elements that you can look into. So, for example, you can look at the job title. What is the title they're going to give you? That matters a lot because in the future, like if you decide to go and look for other jobs after that company, people will look at the titles that you've held in the past. So, very, very important to look into that. You also want to look at the job scope or the job description. Like, what are the things that you will actually do in that job should you take it? You want to look at number three, reporting lines or hierarchy. Like, who are you reporting to, and what will that kind of relationship be in terms of the hierarchy? And then you also have things like work arrangement, like location. Do you have to go into the office, especially in the work environment we have now, right? Very, very important consideration. When it comes to time, you want to know, okay, is it flexible? Can you work from home some days? What does that look like? And then another thing could be your probationary period. How many months are they giving you for you to prove yourself before they hire you fully? Or do they not have a probationary period, which is also like a really good perk for some companies? So think about that. And then, of course, look at other maybe perks is what we can call it, like your car allowances, or some companies even have the travel perks that you can use, so you can look into that. And then, of course, benefits will be very huge. It's very adulting, but you do need your health benefits.
You
And
so
so looking
do.
at that, right? And then other things like training and growth. Do they give budget for you to be able to take courses or certifications? And then you can look at things like return service agreements. Actually, Nina is the one who told me that this was a thing because it wasn't a huge thing in the companies that I've been a part of before. And then also you could look at insurances, retirement packages, stock options sometimes if some companies have that. Very, very long list, but again, the point here is it goes way beyond just salary.
That's so true, especially now that we're still hardly vaccinated and we're still trying to stay safe. I think a lot of the perks that we're looking for also are how are they going to support you when you're working at home, working from home. So things like a phone allowance, internet allowance, even an electricity allowance. Are they gonna give you a laptop? Those are things that you have to look at also. And with regard to return service agreements that Elijah brought up, because when some companies offer training, they want you to, in exchange for the training, they want you to stay for an X number of months after. So it's up to you. For me, like I don't like being tied down, so I don't really like that. But for others, maybe they don't really mind because they want the training. So that's just something that for you to think about.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we
Yeah.
could give some examples of like what are the things or the elements of a job offer that we've had to struggle with or consider in past jobs. Okay, I can go
Yes.
first.
Go
So,
ahead. Yeah.
for me, this is one of the early internships that I took here in the Philippines. And so before, when I was applying for that job and then when they gave me the offer, I realized that the salary was actually lower than the average for an internship. So given that I was still a college student, but still, right, it was lower than the average. Although that summer, I was also waiting for results from Stanford. So they were going to tell us if we could fly over there to present our paper in like a conference. And so my consideration was I needed an internship that won't tie me down in terms of time. Like I needed an internship where I won't sign a contract that says I have to stay for a certain number of months. And so knowing that, I was able to walk into that negotiation knowing what's important for me. And then I could agree to the lower salary because for that specific internship, they had no time boundaries and I was free to go should I get that call.
I had the same or very similar experience also with like one of my with my first jobs. I guess when you're younger, like you're looking for more freedom for
Can't
you to
commit.
make more. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a natural thing because you're young and you just want to experience all these things. Nothing wrong with that. So I same thing. Like my question was always like, am I getting vacation leaves and when is the soonest time I can take them? Because some companies want you to take like a year before you can get those benefits. And then so that's something that I just considered like in my earlier years. So yeah, maybe for the fresh grads listening to this, that's something that you're thinking about also and something that was worth asking a company. Yeah.
So with these, it's like you have to know what you're willing to give up, right? That's also another thing. Yes, know what's important for you, and on the flip side, know what's something you can let go of. Because the more clarity you have in terms of these things, then the more you can walk into those negotiations, and then you're clear already. Like, okay, what can I say, and what are the different elements that I can play with, and it makes it easier to deal because you're clear about the different pieces that you have on the table.
So true. So in my experience, so this was later on in my career when I wasn't just starting out anymore. I realized that I really wanted to focus on my mental health, and the things that I asked for were a 4-day work week and for me to take a month before I could actually start the job. So I was working in a company and they wanted to hire me and put me into another department, but there were more responsibilities. So basically, it was going to be a transfer and a promotion at the same time. And if I really want, I mean, actually, if the company really wanted to, they would have just let me go like straight away because they really needed the position to be filled. But something that I asked for was, can I please take a whole month before starting, and also can I have a 4-day work week? And I also asked for a higher salary because I knew the responsibilities were much broader than what I was originally doing. And at the same time, I knew I had the experience in the field already and the skills have been built up over time. So those were three things that I asked for. And in the end, I didn't get everything. What I did get though, I did get the higher salary. I did get the 1 month leave, but I didn't get the 4-day work week. So, but the thing was, what mattered to me also was the reasoning behind why they couldn't give me what I wanted. And actually, they reasoned to me that your workload is actually going to be lighter than your previous job, even if there are more responsibilities. And actually, in my experience, it came true. So I found that to be acceptable. So again, it's also depending on your position. I guess for me, if I had maybe a higher status or position, then I would have pushed for the 4-day work week. I really hope to do that one day. But for now, with the goals of financial stability, with the goals of my health, I was okay with the salary package and I accepted it.
How
Yeah.
did it feel when like you didn't get everything, and what allowed you to transition to like being okay with how it ended up?
For me, I like that they were really open. They let me have I had more than one interview where I was asking the questions actually, and they also even let me sit in a meeting with the team, so I kind of knew how the culture would be. So those were things also that helped me make my decision and to really figure out if it was something that was really aligned with what I wanted. So that's so important also, like how they handle the negotiation is another thing I guess to consider.
True, and I think what I'm hearing from you is you looked for more information to help you
Right.
have a clearer sense of, okay, what am I negotiating about here?
Yes, yeah. And to really see what their actual needs were and how I could really fulfill them and how I could also learn from them. So lot of things to play with again when it comes to salary negotiation, not just the money. Although that's important. Okay. So honestly, it's really nerve-wracking to get into the whole salary negotiating um process. Like, it's so easy to get to think about the worst case scenario. For me, that's what really makes me anxious. Like, what if, like, I drop the ball because I asked for the negotiation, and then they shut me off? So, I guess with the next thing that we want to talk about is the strategy. How do you even start the conversation of salary negotiations? How do you make sure that you're prepared for it, right? It's not just about having the skills or having the recognition, but also being like psychologically prepared for it. Okay, so that moves us to our next question, which is what can I do to start negotiating the offer? Okay,
Okay, so
Elijah,
lots
can
of
you
yeah.
walk us through it?
Lots of things we can talk about. I think the one of the most important things will be research. Really, really do your research. And when I say research, this is about going beyond what's been said on the internet. Like go beyond just reading about the company. Really use your network in your industry. So why do we say that? Because you need to be able to ask maybe colleagues or people in the same industry, even people in the same company size and revenue, ask them about their offers and their salary. And it doesn't have to be like knowing exactly how much they earn, but it's more of asking them the range of possibilities that they have in their company so then you can compare it with the offer you're getting. And so with this one, I think what we can see now is it's very, very important to always be building those relationships. Because then, once you get there and you actually have to ask about these offers and salary packages, then you can be at least comfortable to ask that, and they would be comfortable to trust you with that information. So, yeah, being able to build your network as early as now will be a really good idea.
Yeah, and taking that step to reach out, because actually you'd be surprised of how much people want to help out or want to offer that information to you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just
Yeah,
ask.
and you have an experience with this one, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, actually, I ended up asking a competitor. Like the person was just somebody that an acquaintance, and we just met one time, followed each other on Instagram, and then when I was looking for ways to negotiate my salary or my current position, I reached out to her just on Instagram also, and she was willing to give me some information, even about like she actually gave me an exact amount, I think even. So you just really never know unless you try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and very
what's another
useful.
thing? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, very useful to have peers outside of your company,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's also that culture where you think that your competitor is not supposed to be your friend. But I think actually that we're on the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just
Mm-hmm.
happen to be in different companies.
Exactly. Yep.
Hey, what's the next thing that you should do after doing your research?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think this is it's the tip that we always hear when it comes to negotiation, right? It's being able to take stock of your skills, your past experience, awards that you've won, recognition, certifications, things you've studied, etc. So just really getting a good grasp of what it is that you've done in the past. I would say though, it's not just about making that list of the things that you've done. You have to be strategic about positioning it. So, what do I mean by that? So, you want to look into what are those skills and experiences, and then you can highlight two things about them. First is what elements of these past experiences fit the job that you were offered, right? So the more you can tune in on those specific elements, then the more you can make the alignments when you talk about your past experiences. And then the second thing you want to highlight would be what is uniquely you. Maybe you have some hobbies, I don't know, some passions that are not exactly on your resume, but it makes up who you are. That's why it's important. And so think about what do I learn from these things, these hobbies, and then are there elements of those learnings that line up with the job that I'm being offered? Because then you can talk about that also because that's what you can bring uniquely to the table.
Wow. Right. So it's really taking stock of everything, but also making sure that it's relevant to the to the position or to the salary negotiation, to the job offer. Yeah, that's so important. And I think after that, when you know, so you've done your research, you have the knowledge already of like the baseline that you're looking at, you know what you are capable of delivering. I think another thing that was really important for me was to actually practice. Like, well, for me, what works is writing things down to make sure I remember everything and then rehearsing it with a friend or a family member I trust and getting their feedback. What can you say about that, Elijah? Is that something that you would advise also?
Yes, yes, super important. And I do that also actually. So write your script, and then I even go so far as thinking about different scenarios. Like I have a script ABC in my head. So for example, if script A is they just say yes right away, then what will you say? How will you react? If they say no, flat out no, what would you say? And then maybe if option C would be, what if they start picking out elements and saying, well, this is okay, this is not okay? How would you react to those different elements? So you can make different combinations in your head of what you think they could say, and then try to quiz yourself. What would I say to respond to that? I think that's also part of the practice.
Wow. Okay. Next time I'm gonna try that
And
also.
you have a whole book of conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess like the takeaway from this is when you're preparing, you have to come in confident. Like you have to commit to it if you're gonna ask for that ask for the higher salary or benefits or whatever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Confidence, but don't be cocky. So,
Oh gosh. Okay,
right?
okay. Yeah. I mean, now that you've mentioned that, like, don't be cocky or don't be, I guess, in your face about it. Can we talk about what you should not do? I don't know if you've personally had people like try to negotiate with you, but what are like factors that would make a negotiation fall through?
So, the I've had a lot of experience, right, talking to recruiters and even competing with other people for the same job. And so, what I know and what I've observed is I see that people don't get the job or don't get the offer that they want if they are cocky about it. So what do I mean, right? Like sometimes confidence can be overconfident because we say yes, take stock of your skills, take stock of your past experiences, but also know that it doesn't make you better than everyone else, right? Like, okay, maybe you were varsity in whatever sport, but if the other person isn't, that doesn't mean that it automatically places you on a higher level. So it's really just about, you know what, don't compare with other people. Be proud of who you are and talk about what you've learned from all of these past experiences, but you don't have to, I don't know, rub it in other people's faces, I guess.
Yes, yes, that's so true. Yeah. I mean, it's a negotiation, so both sides are actually giving and taking. And I guess if you're too aggressive, it could also put the other party off because they're actually trying to also help you out here. They're trying to give you a job.
Exactly, yeah. You know what? That's a very good point because when you are in a negotiation stage, it's really about trust. So it's not about one upping like the other person. It's about creating a kind of relationship where you can both be open with each other. And if you're cocky, then that'll just put the other person on the defensive. And then you won't
Yes.
have an open conversation. So, yeah, just,
Wow, okay.
just don't.
Don't
Okay.
don't be cocky. Okay. Another thing, I wouldn't say this is a hard and fast rule, but for me, what I've been told was when you're asking for a higher salary, give a range of of how much you want, and then maybe from there you can work. And maybe they're gonna give you a number, and that's in my experience. Like they give you a number, and then maybe if you're not satisfied with it, you can ask for why you deserve that higher range compared to just giving this hard number and saying that you deserve it because of this and that. So that's just in my experience. I don't know for others, but that's what's worked for me when it came to salary negotiation.
And again, right, we said that it's a trust building process. I think if you give an exact amount and you don't show that you're willing to be flexible, then it kind of breaks the trust. And so giving a range will show that you're a little more flexible about communicating or talking about it more in the future. So yeah, range is better than just giving an exact amount and then hardballing from there. That'll be very, very
Yes.
hard.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, wow. So another thing I think I've also heard about is candidates talking about, I have this offer from another company and it's this and this and this. It's just much better than what you're offering, and kind of being in your face about it. Um, I guess from what I heard from those employers who kind of complained about those kinds of candidates, like what they wanted to hear was respect for them for what they've been trying to offer to the candidate, and also respect like the privacy of the other companies also. So I guess, I mean, I mean, in these industries or these companies are competing with each other, so they also want to have certain information just kept to them rather than being exposed to everyone.
Yeah. And to me, it's actually it's a red flag even. So let's say for example, if the person interviewing you or the person giving you the offer is pushing you to give information, exact information about your other company offers, I think that's a red flag. Because to me, okay, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, that's not ethical. Would I want to join a company that is doing something not ethical? So, yeah, I think it's always a very fine line, but you don't want to be the first one crossing that line as the person who is going into that company and deciding on the offer.
That's true. I guess in the end, it's just a lot of respect.
Exactly. And also, with respect means never lie. So that's another don't, right? If you have no other offers, that's okay. Like, you don't have to say that, oh yeah, I'm so desired, everyone wants me. Like, no, they will know because, right, you're in the same industry. So these recruiters, they see each other in events. Maybe they're friends. You never know,
Yeah,
right?
they
So
probably
never
are.
lie. Or even managers. I'm sure managers kind of like know who's who in the industry. So if you lie, it would be so easy for them to find out the truth. So never do that. Okay. And then we have one last don't, which is don't forget to express your gratitude. So again, always say thank you. Even if, for example, they can't give you everything you're asking for, a thank you will go a very, very long way. Because again, even if you end up not accepting the offer, they are still in the same industry, which means you never know. In the future, maybe you'd want to go back to that company and try. Or what if these managers or recruiters are in other companies in the future and you'd want to be there? So you never want to leave that relationship soured, and a thank you will really help you solidify that in a way.
Yeah, just common courtesy. I think just to add to that also, do ask for a deadline for when you can accept the offer. So you also don't just leave the person or the recruiter hanging. I mean, you both have like a finite amount of time. So it's about respecting each other's time.
Yes,
Hey.
exactly.
So you're done negotiating. You did it. Went through the really tough conversation, but you're done. So now what? What's next? Our third question is, how do I know I'm ready to accept the offer?
Yeah. I mean, I think also a part of it is from the very beginning, you have to accept that you are not going to get everything you want. Like, yes, there are times, right, when they will give you everything you want, but that's not always the case. And the more prepared we are mentally and emotionally for that, I think the better it will be for us to start being more objective in terms of evaluating the offer or offers that we have.
Yeah, so I guess manage your expectations. It's a negotiation. You really are not meant to get everything. Even I mean, they also are looking to try to get the best deal for themselves, but both sides just have to compromise one way or another. So I guess what you should be looking at is if most of the offer does align to what's important with you, then it could be a sign that you're ready to accept the offer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing would be if they say no to some of the things you're asking for, then ask for the reason, right?
Yes.
An acceptable reason, and what is that for you? So think about what is acceptable for me, and then if their reasoning is aligned with that, then maybe that's okay, because at least they opened up about the reasons.
Yeah. So I mean earlier we were talking about how they handle the negotiation is also a big factor to you accepting the offer. So I guess if you can see that they're transparent with how they decide on the salary package, then that could be a good sign of how you're going to be treated in the company also.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
I think for me, the biggest thing is you just really have to weigh the opportunity costs. When you negotiate, that takes time, that takes energy, and also just a lot of emotional and mental preparation, right? Like you write scripts, you do your research, like that's a lot of work. And so think about that, right? If it doesn't pan out, if they don't give you what you want, and you want to keep on pushing, you want to keep on negotiating, can you go through the job search again? Like, are you ready to let go of that offer and then maybe go take another offer somewhere else, or do the job search all over again? And so I think it's really up to you, and knowing how much time and energy and emotional and mental capacity you actually have. Yeah, actually this was my case. So one of the job offers that I got before, I was already very happy with the package, right? It was more than what I imagined. But also I know from research that this company is actually very open to negotiating. And so I knew that if I asked for more, they would have given me more. Like it would have been a yes. But at the same time, I knew that okay, I was going home to the Philippines for vacation, and did I really want to have meetings while I'm back home on vacation? No. So I was thinking about
Because
that.
this was in the States.
Yeah, this was in
so
the
like
States.
huge time difference. Okay.
Huge time difference. Also, I have 1 week to be with my friends and go out. Like, why would I give up a night in Poblacion versus negotiating and talking to many different people? Like, that wasn't worth it for me at the time. Like, I'm sure it sounds like it's worth it, but remember, at that time, my mindset and just my emotional needs were not that. Like, my needs were to rest and to be with friends and family. And so yeah, it wasn't worth it for me to keep on pushing and keep on negotiating when I was already happy with something I got. So again, you don't always need to negotiate. Everyone will say you have to negotiate, but do what's true to you.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay to like the offer right away and just go with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either. So, again, salary negotiation, it's a personal experience. If you want to do it and jump into it, we just talked about the ways that you could do it, but if you don't want to, that's fine also. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because, if you talk to friends, if you talk to mentors, or even if you just look for tips online, everyone will always tell you to maximize your offer, like to push for as much as you can. And you know what? I'm not always that kind of person. Like, definitely, if I think that I really want it and if it's super important to me, I will push. But I don't like pushing just for the sake of pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it makes me feel bad sometimes because it's like, okay, what? So if I don't negotiate, am I like not as assertive as everyone else? So yeah, I had a lot of these doubts before, but I think the wisdom of age, what? No, so So now I'm more comfortable with just being myself and stating what I want and what I don't need and what I don't want. So yeah, nowadays I'm not as gung ho about, okay, I just need to negotiate.
That's so true. I mean, don't negotiate for the sake of it. Don't be that person. Like, be clear about your goals. Why you actually want to negotiate, which is what we've been talking about all this time. Okay, so I think it's time to wrap up and look back at the three questions that we've talked about. So for the first one, it's what is important in a job offer? What matters most to me?
Okay, so question number 2 is, what can I do to start negotiating the offer?
And the third is, how do I know I'm ready to accept the offer?
All right, big questions, but I hope that as we went through some little tips here and there, it could help you to customize those tips for you and what works for you. All right, any last messages or final takeaways?
Okay, for me, it's really ask and you shall receive. Like, I think especially as a woman, you think that you should just accept whatever is offered to you. I mean, you're just happy to be there. But what I've learned is that you can't just wait for opportunities to fall in your lap. And if you put the energy out there, whatever energy that is, it'll come right back to you. So if you want more or you want something that's more aligned to you, then that's likely to come back to you also. And again, you just really, really never know unless you try. So if you are thinking about a salary negotiation and you're worried about repercussions or like how uncomfortable it would be, I mean, look back at your goals and see if your goals, if you really want to achieve them and that's going to happen with the help of salary negotiation, then why not just try and go for it?
Exactly. Okay. So I think for me, if there's anything that I would like people to remember, it's that negotiating your salary and just the package overall, it's a very personal process. So, you could have listened to us for 30 plus minutes now. You could have talked to a million friends and family, but at the end of the day, it's you and what you want and what you need. And so it could be a very empowering experience if you want it to be. It could be a chance for you to assess your worth and assert your worth. So, yes, you're not defined by your job offer. And also, this is your chance to take a stand for yourself and say that, okay, this is what I'm worth and this is what I need to be getting. So, yeah, maybe it is stressful, yes, but also it could be one of those rare moments of empowerment that you can experience for yourself.
So
All right.
true.
So, with that, I think we have wrapped up everything that we wanted to talk about in terms of your job offer. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to learn with us and for asking yourself the hard stuff.
So connect with us on Facebook and Instagram with the handle at AskYourselfPH and on YouTube through Ask Yourself Podcast. Bye!
Bye!